You are listening to the Merchant Meetings podcast. Join us as we share the insights, successes, and failures that we and others have experienced in the small business space. All right, so in today's podcast episode, we are going to go over some of the main foundations we approach marketing from. We'll cover some of the perspectives and I guess some of the metrics that we use to measure success. And we'll talk about not being romantic about a single marketing tactic. And I guess the difference between brand marketing and sales marketing. And then how much you should be paying per 1,000 views, because I think that's really valuable to know. And then our approach to strategic organic marketing and not just posting and hoping for the best.
Yes.
But we found these. So we found these at a store called Chicago Mart in Blacktown. And every single podcast we listen to or watch, because they're video podcasts, have these in the background. And I thought it was a beer, but it's actually water.
I think Gary Vee actually might be invested in this company as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think someone on his team was one of the main people that pushed the marketing behind it. But I think its track to being like $1 billion or even more company was extremely fast.
I just think it's cool that it's water in a can, but they've marketed it to
So
be
well, yeah. So it was on all the big podcasts, and we're like, well, we want to be a big podcast, so all we need is to put the can in there.
So let's crack it open. Try and not get it on the
We need some
mics.
ASMR, but
Wait, you go first.
oh, that did not do what I thought it was going to do.
Ready?
Oh, that's it. It's the one.
That's the one. Wait, you have to go. Can you face the camera?
That's really weird. I thought this was going to be like sparkling carbonated water. It kind of feels way more like tap water. No, not tap water, but like mineral water with just no like bubbles. Like it's not very bubbly.
Oh,
Yeah, weird, hey?
it just tastes like someone gave me a glass of water from their fridge.
Yeah, it's like actual water.
I don't think it tastes that good out of a can. It would taste good out of a glass bottle. But anyways.
I don't think it tastes bad out of a can. I think it's just the frame that we usually think about drinking water from.
All right, let's get back to marketing. Anyways, so speaking about Liquid Death, and we think that Gary Vee is invested in it. I know one of your favorite marketing quotes from Gary Vee is, before you sell anything to anyone, you must have their attention.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a really good way of framing marketing. And I think it allows you not to become romantic about one idea, but see the opportunities where they exist in today's current landscape. And so I think most of the business owners that we interact with, I would say, are from the ages of 30 to about 55. Now, the ones that are probably 35 and older, I think about marketing in a very different way than what we would. And I think it's because they've traditionally come from an era of marketing where TV and radio was predominantly the two best ways to market. Certainly the most expensive, but that could probably achieve the most reach as well. And then traditional print, so magazines, newspapers, flyers. And the thing about marketing in those distribution channels is that essentially you get one message and you get to do it one time pretty much inside a given campaign, but one message. And I think the reason that that's important is because when you only have one message and the cost of advertising is quite great on those distribution channels, you try and make the message as broad as possible to reach as many people as possible. But by definition, the more people that you include in a given marketing campaign, the less you will resonate with each one as an individual. And so that's where the concept of marketing to niches came in. And so the idea is that you could resonate so much more with a niche if you marketed directly towards them rather than a broad message that goes out to everyone. But when you're using a distribution channel like TV or radio or print, it's one marketing message. And so it's very hard to do that, and it becomes very costly. Social media has completely removed that framework of marketing. You can now in high volume, produce many marketing pieces to many different niches. And the cost to post is nothing. Like, yes, there's a content creation cost, but that's true of every different marketing category and sector and distribution channel. The actual cost to post is not there. Now, you can do a paid ad spend, of course, and then you're paying for reach, but the actual cost is zero. And so if that's not resonating, I think what you would need to think of, if tomorrow Facebook, Instagram, TikTok said, if you're a business page and you want to be advertising, it's $2 per post. Your first initial thing is, why? Like that's not fair. Like, why are they charging me to post? And then if I told you in 6 months' time, it would be $10 per post, you go, well, this is getting a bit ridiculous. If I want to do 5 posts a week, that's $50. Well, where can you send out 5 different marketing messages for $50? There is no distribution channel that allows you to do that. So the fact that it is free is exactly like what should be telling you there's a real opportunity here. And so I think if you work from that framework, it's a good starting place to think about the opportunities that exist in social media marketing across the social platforms that are now very different from what was traditionally used.
And whilst we're early on in this episode, did you want to talk about the TikTokification of the social media landscape? And if you're a business owner listening to this, this is very valuable and you need to know this.
Yeah, so I think one of the real barriers in people's mind to even wanting to start posting if they hadn't, developed a following early on was the fact that if you posted and you only had 300 followers, 100 followers or 30 followers, the amount of people that you were going to reach was almost insignificant. And the amount of effort and content creation or paid ad spend that you'd have to apply to get a following so that a decent people or amount of people could be reached, it almost didn't feel worth it. And so that was a real barrier to starting to market effectively on the platforms. That has completely been removed. And we know this from a first-hand basis, but we also know at large the reason for it is, as you referred to, the TikTokification of social media platforms. And so what this essentially means is Facebook or Meta and Instagram and YouTube all saw the migration of people leaving their platforms and spending more time on TikTok. And TikTok has an interest-based algorithm. So they show pieces of content to large amounts of people based on the engagement and watch time and essentially level of interest that's been shown to that piece of content. The amount of followers that you had didn't dictate how many people that you could reach. And so you could have 30 followers and reach 10,000 people, where previously you might need a following of 50,000 people to put a single piece of content out and have 10,000 views. And as time went on, if you had a following of 50,000 people, you may actually get like 1 to 2% engagement, an overall 5 to 10% of overall impressions that were associated with a piece of content. And so that was even in decline. So that has been completely changed now. The quality of your content, the amount of interest, the amount of social engagement that it causes is the main thing that dictates the reach or the potential reach that content has. So absolutely, a large following still matters because the initial amount of people that are going to engage with that and cause the algorithm to pick it up as something of interest still is an important thing, but it is no longer an absolute barrier to not being able to reach people. And so we've started quite a few TikTok profiles and Instagram profiles for new businesses that we've onboarded, and we've had 30 followers and reached 10,000 people a handful of times within, say, 2 months. And previously, that just wasn't achievable. So the interest-based algorithms that are now being utilized on the social platforms, or the TikTokification of the social media platforms, has absolutely caused probably the biggest opportunity that we've seen for small businesses to reach large amounts of people.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea if we speak about the impact this algorithm change has had on our clients, because our clients are relatively small businesses with small followings when you look over everything. And just the results that we've been able to get out of this algorithm change for these businesses have been crazy.
Yeah. So we'd be working with somewhere between 15 and 20 small businesses on any given week. And I would say every single week we'll have at least one piece of content that hits 10,000 views, but usually multiple. I would say within a month, we would have somewhere between 1 and 5 pieces of content hit 100,000 views up to 900,000 views. And then over the last 6 months, say, we've had a handful that have gone into the millions. Every single one of these followers would have been probably less than 4,000 followers to start, with most of them having about 1,000 people if they were established business in terms of their following. A handful of them would have been 0 followers. We would have started the page fresh. And so the one that comes to mind most is the MAF non-for-profit organization that we work for. We started up essentially a stories page to talk about the impact of what the charity was doing in a storytelling manner. And they had 0 followers. Like, we had 30 followers by the end of the first week, say, from one single post sort of thing, because, everyone sort of likes at the nose of the business. Within, say, a 2-3 month period, we had at least 5 or 6 videos that had all reached over 10,000 people. Within a 4 or 5 month space, we'd hit like 112, 119,000 views on a single post, with a following that still hadn't reached over 300. And that was just not obtainable with that size following prior to that. If you want to maybe talk about some of the other businesses that you're across and some of the results that you've got.
Yeah, I think, but first, I think it's important to, I guess, say that all of the videos that have gone viral, or that we've been able to reach a decent level of views and results for our clients, all of the content pieces haven't been sales-based marketing. They've all been branding-based marketing or awareness marketing.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about the difference between those first before we get into some of the results?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So yes, marketing all falls into either sales or brand. Sales is exactly what it sounds like. It's promotion. It's putting forth like seasonal sales, whether it's Christmas or end of financial year sale, or Christmas. Did I say Christmas already? Is it Christmas already? Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of those types of I guess traditional retail sale days. And it's putting forth like discounts and just essentially pushing the product forward or the service forward and asking for the sale. Everything that is associated with brand is more about like positioning, awareness, brand building. So you're never asking for the sale. And the way that we do that for our supplement stores is essentially through education and entertainment. We rarely push forward sales, maybe twice a year. And for a retail store, that's extremely low if you know the current landscape of the way that retail stores are operating. But brand building is, it's not easily quantifiable. So sales-based marketing, you put a particular campaign out there, you might have an associated discount code, so it's really easy to track. You spend $10,000, you make $20,000 above what you would usually for that month, and you can quantify a return relatively easily. Brand building is extremely hard to quantify an actual financial return, but it's, I think, one of the most valuable things that a business can do, especially if they want to be sustainable in the long term.
Okay, cool. So back to our clients. I think there's probably like 3 or 4 major videos that we can kind of discuss and break down. The first one that comes to mind is the athlete's foot video that I think reached over how many million of views?
I think one was in the 5 millions and one was in the 6, like between TikTok and Instagram. I think Instagram might have done slightly better. I think it's like 6.7, 6.5, something like that.
Yeah. So the athlete's foot video that we posted on TikTok, I guess the hook of that video was, if you're over 30,
this is something you would know.
Yes. And the reason why we use that at the beginning of the video is because it's a very good hook for people who are over 30 and people who are under 30. When you hear that, whether you're 20 or whether you're 40, you want to keep watching it because you want to know what other people don't know. Or if you're over 30, you want to make sure that you know what people under 30 don't know. And then we incorporated the business's like product or something that they were offering in that video so it made sense, but also fell into that hook as well. Yeah. And that performed very well.
And then we integrated that into essentially a business that we were doing the marketing for. And we would often use that. We would find trends or find pieces of content that we can integrate into our service offerings. Now, the hook part, Absolutely. Like it causes social engagement, which is what the algorithms are trying to achieve. And so, as you said, if you're over 30, you would know this. And it's like, we could see that was causing engagement on like the other, I guess, pieces of content that we had seen. And people were saying things like, I'm over 50 and I had no idea that this exists, so this is a load of BS. And the point is, like, it's the comment isn't degrading to the business. So you can say controversial things, like if you're over 30, you should know this, but you have to figure out, is this actually degrading for the business anyway? Like, you have to protect the reputation of the business. And I think that was something that we were obviously quite concerned about as well. So it's doing this in a professional manner. I think we did talk about like the reason that we brought a contract into the merchant media business.
Yeah,
in the prior podcast.
We spoke about that.
Okay, cool. So you can go back and look at the other episode if you want to find that part. But yeah, these types of controversial statements can often cause social engagement, which is what the platform is trying to achieve. And so then we used a follow-up video off the back of this.
Yes. So just bringing it back a little bit, when you said we find trends and then we work them into our clients', I guess, videos, it's not finding trending reels or trending audios. It's finding a line or a hook or a concept that's already performing very well on TikTok that isn't the majority at the moment. It's like one small thing that you can rework into a video that makes sense for your client's business, but still gets people to engage with it.
Yeah, and I think something that people forget is it's not because this thing is trending, like necessarily. So like when the corn kid went nuts, it was like the reason that it went nuts is not because corn is like super interesting. It's because everyone found the cute little boy saying the corn song or the corn feature or whatever it was. They found that interesting. It was interesting to humans. Like there's a consumer behavior part of what causes something to be interesting. And that's the thing that we try and grab and then put into various marketing pieces. It's not just because corn's on trend at the moment. It's because there's something about that video that causes engagement. And it's identifying that's the real difference between every single other person that did something, corn related with their business and didn't achieve any reach off the back of it. You're forgetting like it's because there's something inside consumer behavior that finds this particular thing interesting.
Yeah. And I just want to like nail down on that point because I know a lot of people that do marketing or trying to do marketing for themselves can't, I guess, see the difference in what we've just said. For example, with the corn trend, I saw like a bookkeeper or a personal trainer that would use that song because it's trending and they would be like, I'm a personal trainer, where it says, it's corn, and then start pointing. Yeah. Yes, the market would say that's a trending song, that's a trending video, but it doesn't match your business.
It doesn't help.
No.
If anything, even this is the thing, you could have the chance of going viral off the back of it, and everyone could think you're an absolute idiot. Like you don't want to go viral for the wrong reason, right? This is like something I often think about businesses, especially when they reach out for our marketing, and sometimes like we just say, look, I don't think we're the best fit for you. And I've said this in previous podcasts, like it's hard to polish a turd. Like if your business is not something that should be advertised, the last thing that you want is for a lot of people to see it. So like if you're a PT and you're needing to use the corn song to get any like particular views on your video because your other stuff isn't reaching people, you probably don't want to reach a lot of people because all you're going to have is a lot of people like get initial engagement, potentially go to your page and see what's wrong with it. Like you really need to get your ducks in a row before you go out and do marketing because you want your business to look a certain way. And a lot of the time, I don't think businesses know how their business should be presented or how it should look. It doesn't mean that everything has to be like traditionally pretty or aesthetic or something like that. It's like, is your page warm? Or are you taking people to a cold page where there's no information about your menu, there's no pictures of how your products or services look, there's no pricing, there's no like available times that your business is open, there's no way to communicate with them? Are you sending them to a cold page? Or are you sending them to a page where, if you're a PT, there's no education on actually what you're providing, there's just a whole bunch of stereotypical stuff on social media. So it's one thing to get virality, it's another thing to be able to like actually use it and optimize it.
Yeah, so if you're a business owner that's trying to get views on their content, trying to do your marketing yourself, you're smarter than you think. Don't do these trends. do marketing that's in line with what your customers want and what your business provides.
Yeah, it's like your reputation can be damaged. It's like, I know people have got different views on how this like OnlyFans thing works, right? But you can probably get views if you open up an OnlyFans page, and people probably want to see it initially, but it does not necessarily improve the way that people look at you. Like, I think we can all agree there's probably some sort of reputational damage that occurs there. I get it that, liberation and people want to like say that this doesn't necessarily affect you or people should see it in a different way. But I think the absolute truth of it is some people, your mother, is probably not going to want to see that. So whether it's one person or many people that you have reputational damage with, the same like principle is true. If you put out something that people shouldn't see just because it would get attention, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And on, I guess, a more specific basis and a toned down version from any OnlyFans, I've seen so many girls jump in a G-string and have that as the first like 5 seconds of a clip, and then go and try and sell like a cooking book off the back of it or something. It's just like, oh, we've got 1 million views. It's like, no, your butt got 1 million views. Whatever you were offering off the back of it has nothing to do with the reason that you got views. And so simply getting views is one thing. Actually getting views for the purpose that helps your business is a completely other thing.
I think one of the best, skills that we've developed over the years of doing the social media marketing is being able to get views and results for clients that don't have pretty or like very hype engaging products. For example, the Athlete's Foot. Yes, they're a very reputable brand in Australia, but they sell shoes.
Yeah.
And everyone usually knows that they just sell walking shoes, running shoes, yada, 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 sizing up feet. It's not super interesting.
No, Foot Locker's the cool business.
Yeah.
And Athlete's Foot's the one you want to do when you want to take running seriously, or if you're an old person that wants like a supportive footwear, or you want to like have some comfy shoes at work. It's all utility based. And it's like, cool. So how do we position this a little bit better and actually lean into the utility that your product and service actually offers? You don't have to lean away from that. You have to change the way that your business looks and then not actually have the product or service backing it up. I think on that point, Parkley Markets was a very similar example. It did not have a good reputation when we started. And I still think obviously people have got their own ideas on it and stuff. But the actual level of foot traffic that business has now is certainly increased. And there's way more new like tenants or business vendors that are operating in that space. And you can see the ones that have done well off the back of TikTok and Instagram, they now have bigger businesses. They have more products, they have more services, they have like larger areas that they're renting. And people are now doing little like weekend video reels. Like you said, you saw just yesterday, a food blogger had done a little piece on Parkley Markets. And it's like, it's because your TikTok and your Instagram, mostly the TikTok, have hundreds of thousands of views, like extremely frequently and reaching large like amounts of people in a localized area. And the image of it is changing. It's now like, if you want some like cool food, some, cultural food that you can't get, just down at your Westfield shopping center, you can go to Parkley Markets and it's actually extremely wanted there now. Like one of the businesses that you did, which I think was one of the first ones that went viral.
I love
it touched my heart.
I love this story. So bringing it back a little bit, Parkley Markets took us on because they saw, the marketing videos that we were doing for enhanced supplements, because we have a store that's close to Parkley in Blacktown. And they brought us on because they said, we want to improve the Parkley Market social media pages, which Steve and I knew that there was so much potential. So at that time, instead of, again, looking at all these trending audios and all these trending dances and making those in Parkley Markets, we looked at the business and said, all right, there's so many stalls and there's so much potential. What, angle could we approach the marketing of? And obviously, if you're on TikTok, you would know that a lot of people do like foodie weekends. Let's go to the market. What can I buy for $50? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I found this store. You wouldn't believe this. So we kind of took like a vlogger's approach, like a TikTok vlog approach to the markets. And we know that businesses perform better when they have a face to it. Now, obviously, at Parkley Markets, there's just store holders. So I had to be the face of Parkley Markets. So we approached the marketing that I was the TikTok vlogger and I would film all of their content from my perspective, someone visiting the markets, which again would attract people to be like, oh, wow, it feels like I'm visiting the markets. So we would highlight each store, we would highlight the markets overall, the food, the shoes, the clothes, etc. But one of the stores that I love, They sell these watermelon and mango drinks. I'm going to butcher the name. It's called Otai.
You should know.
So they're called Otai drinks, and it's like a Polynesian drink. I'm from New Zealand, so I really should know. But anyways, I made a video and I knew that you would say the word of the drink as Otai, but I said all day because we know that if you make a mistake on pronouncing things, people are going to hammer into the comments and say, she doesn't know how to say it. That's not how you say it. This is how you say it. So when I was at the store, I said, it's not damaging to them. It's not damaging to Parkley markets. I am the vlogger, so I will get the hate, but that will increase the views. So I filmed it like, I found these refreshing drinks. They're called All Day drinks. They have trifles. They have this. And it was a very vloggy video. Anyways, we posted that. It got 100,000 views in a day. The next day, that store holder messaged me and said, we have made 3 times more than we ever had in one day off the back of your video. And fast forward now, I think it's been like 4 to 5 months. They now have expanded their stores into like 3 times the size. They have 3 times more product offerings. Their social media account grew like I think 3,000 followers. And now they're booked out every single weekend for food markets. And that was just a husband and wife store.
Yeah.
So yes, they weren't our clients because we were serving Parkley markets themselves. But that's, I guess, an insight into how like a very good marketing approach can completely change a small business out of it.
Yeah, 100%. You also had that wedding, like what it was, like invitations and stuff?
Yeah, so at Parkley markets, they have this like wedding printing engraving shop. It's like a full-on print shop inside Parkley markets. And obviously when you're approaching it, you're looking at the store going, all right, so wedding invitations, wedding signs, like how do I market this? So I asked the guy, I said, hey, can I come behind the counter and film you making something? Because that's highly engaging than just showing the shop.
Yeah.
So I did that and I did a voiceover being like, I didn't know that this was at Parkley markets. They sell this, 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 and this. As you can see, he's doing this. It was very engaging.
The hook was, I didn't know.
Yes. And now other people want to keep watching because they want to know. And again, I made sure the business owner was in it. He didn't have to talk because again, I just approached him out of nowhere.
Yep.
But the fact that there was a face there, someone doing it. And that went to, I think...
250 maybe? 250,000?
No, I think it's up to like 800,000 views.
Okay.
Yes. And
they contacted you and said, hey, can we actually take you on individually? Like we want to hire your service individually. And I think they ended up hiring more staff. And I guess the point is that it's actually causing real business success. So I think when people are saying, well, what's the ROI? Like if we put money into marketing, what are we going to get out of it? We can't promise that any particular marketing piece is going to go viral. We can't tell you what time frame this particular piece of content or pieces of content is going to bring real dollars back into the till. All we can say is you've got 2 options. You can do it or you can not do it. And so I think the businesses that end up doing it do disproportionately well, and those that don't. And your competitors are going to be doing it. And so it's something that you really need to think about. And so the follow-up video for Athlete's Foot.
oh, yes. So the first video got multi-million views.
Yep.
So then we did another follow-up video because I wanted to test this approach.
Just a theory.
So the start of the video, I put a screenshot of the last video with the 4.5, I think at the time it was on. And the hook at the beginning of the video was, I can't believe I got famous, or 4.5 million people
Have now seen me do my laces up.
Yes. So what that causes is that causes people to want to continue watching the video because they think, oh, if 4.5 million people have seen this, I want to see this.
Yeah.
But then that also causes them to go onto your page and look back through the videos to find that original video.
Yes.
So when we posted that, not only did that get over 1 million views, but all of our other video views started going up, including that original one.
Which is a very important thing to understand, because often you'll look at a piece of content and say, well, that didn't do very well. But it was actually a good piece of content in the way that it, I guess, translated a business message that you really wanted to put forward. Or it was actually a good video. At the time, the algorithm didn't pick it up. Sometimes if there's like massive sort of trending things around the world, like you've got a particular month that is dedicated to a particular minority group, often when you post during that time, your post can get decreased reach. But the thing is, it's still a good idea to put good content out, because if you do have something that we would say goes viral, often all the other videos are going to be able to be consumed, or at least a decent portion of them will be. And so the chance that you get that video to be seen in the future is still relatively high, as long as you're producing decent content. And so we've seen something like 12 posts had been there, because we just started the account. One went viral and got millions of views. All the others were sitting around 2,000 or 3,000. All of a sudden, they all go way over 10,000. Like, there's just multiple videos on there that have had, like, huge amounts of reach. And so the point is, you should be consistently posting and making sure that the content pieces are valuable, because you never know what domino effect that's going to have in the future.
And I think that brings back to not doing trending content pieces. If you're constantly putting out content that serves a business purpose or serves a purpose to your business, even if it doesn't get, 10,000 views, if you do have a video that gets a lot of views, then that person is going to want to go onto your page and consume the rest of your content.
Yeah. And I think, like, really bringing a realistic approach to what is a decent amount of views per video is a really important thing. Like, if a teacher goes and teaches a class of 30 people, we all say whatever message she's going to give during that lesson is important, and it's only to 30 people. We go do a video, it reaches 500 people, and you have 100 people engage with it, and we go, it's only 100 people. Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know how hard it is to have, like, genuine engagements with real people about your business? And I think we really do need to reframe that for business owners. You do not need tens of thousands of views, but it helps to reach people in an engaging way. It's actually the creativity of the content that you put in is absolutely the most important thing. You can, as we said, you can go reach millions of people with videos that have nothing to do with your business, don't help it in any particular way, and you'll have no financial benefit or brand building benefit off the back of it. You could reach 1,000 people in a genuine way, and it could actually do a real positive thing for your business.
Another video I want to quickly touch on, about a month ago for one of our cafe clients, Cassandra's Cafe, we posted a video of the chef ringing the bell in the back. Now, if you don't know, whenever you hear the chef ring the bell, it just means order up, food's ready, and a server has to come take the food to the table. Now, obviously, if the server doesn't come, then the chef will ring the bell twice and then 3 times. So that obviously shows that the chef is impatient. So I picked up that concept from a very, very small TikTok video of some Australian comedian saying all these things about hospitality. And he said, 1 bell means this, 2 bells mean that. And then he went on for a long time about other stuff. And I saved that and I said that could be turned into a very good content piece. So we created that into a 1 content piece video. The chef went, food is ready, ding, ding. Can you hurry up, please? 1, 2, 3. Can you hurry up, please, or I'm going to kill you? And it's funny, like, it's laughter, it's lighthearted. The chef here, I don't know what his background is, but
he's got an Indian sounding accent, which made it so much more funny.
Yeah, and he was happy to be on camera, and that video went wild. Millions of views, and it was only a month ago. And so we did a follow-up video because something the staff were telling me, which I think is really valuable, being like with the business owner and the employees at a business that you're trying to do marketing for, because you pick up things that outsiders wouldn't know, is that the staff said, oh, like, if we don't come and get the food quickly, then Jasper, the chef, isn't going to give us a basket of free chips during our shift. And I thought about it and I was like, maybe a good video would be, this is how I get free chips at work. And then I thought, what could be a thing that the staff could do? Maybe bring the chef a coffee, like a free coffee, his favorite coffee, and then the chef gives the staff chips. So we turned that concept into a video, and less than a week, it's got like almost 2 million views.
Yeah, 1.7, 1.8 last time I looked.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this happens on both platforms. Like, videos that do extremely well on TikTok and Instagram. These are not the same companies. It's not like an Instagram, Facebook thing where there's some algorithm that's making a one piece go wild. It's 2 completely different platforms, slightly different user bases or followings, and both are going viral because of the consumer behavior aspect. Something about it is interesting to people. And I think that's a really important thing to think about when you're creating content. The reason it's going viral on both platforms is because it is interesting.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, how does that increase the cafe's customers? Because we're not, promoting to just hospitality workers. Like, that cafe wants more customers. That's what you're doing the marketing for. Well, it serves both purposes. We did see their profile go up like thousands of followers and all their videos went up in views, but also customers were commenting, I can't wait to go in and hear the bell. Oh, next time I come in, I want to see Jasper in the back. And people in the area became more aware of that cafe because of that funny skit. Well, now 2 funny skits. So now they're wanting to go to that cafe because they saw it online.
Yeah, and so we don't know what financial impact that's had in a short time frame, but we know that in the future, when they continue to post content, not only is it going to get more reach, but the feelings that people have towards your business can be increased when you're not trying to sell to them regularly. So there are like benefits that occur in the future from these type of things. And as I said, even if you don't believe that that's true, even though we have on the ground evidence to say that it is, the question is, are you going to do it? Are you going to do marketing or aren't you going to do marketing? There's always the 2 choices. And so I think the businesses that we've worked with that experience the benefit of it would all say, as much as this might fall into a branding exercise, not direct sales, we can see a financial return from it. It's just, as we said, hard to quantify.
Yep.
And so with brand, I've heard it described in quite a few different ways, and it always feels like there's a truthful part to it, but it never quite encapsulates all of what brand means. I've heard it's, what people say about your business when you're not in the room. It's how people feel towards it. It's the space that it occupies in your head. I've heard other people say it's the price that you can charge above the comparison products. That difference is what brand is essentially giving you. And I think there's truth to both of those sort of like lines of thought. The most interesting one that I've heard was by Seth Godin, and he said, if Nike made a hotel, you would have an idea in your head of what that hotel might look like. You may understand the decor, you may understand what the person serving you might look like, what they might be wearing in terms of uniform. You can imagine some of the features that that hotel would have, and we can build that in our mind based on what we know about Nike. But if the Hyatt or Hilton made a sneaker, you don't have anything in your mind as to say, well, that's what the sneaker is going to look like. And he described that as the real difference of brand, knowing and feeling like, I guess, what that brand encapsulates. Now, I do think that's a little bit hard for a small business owner to implement in their business, but I think an easy way of explaining the way that they should approach brand is probably simply just brand awareness. So when researchers go into various areas and they do research, one of the things that they'll do is they'll conduct what they call brand penetration rates. And so if you go into almost any country in the world and you say, do you know what Coca-Cola is? They will have something in the ballpark of 90 to 99% of people knowing what Coca-Cola is. And that's an excellent way to understand the level of brand awareness that Coca-Cola has. Mind you, you'll never see Coca-Cola tell you how many mils that they've got in their product, where they can find it at a discount, what ingredients the particular Coke has. All they'll say is, enjoy happiness, and they'll show people around a beach. They won't tell you where you can buy the product. It's really true branding. If you were to say, well, in the Penrith region, how many people know what enhanced supplements is? I think you'd be lucky to find 10%. And we take an active approach to branding. But if you did achieve 10% as opposed to 1%, I think that's a relatively good result, and it's a good way to think about it. How many people even know about your business? And then the next question is, and how is that business then seen? Do you go to them because you get great advice? Is it like the products are an affordable price? What about that business do people associate with? Oh, they're really welcoming. That could be something that's associated with brand. So brand awareness, I think, is probably the main feature around brand that I think small businesses owners should, concern themselves with.
Yep. I think a good point to touch on is, this is something you and I talk about all the time, is businesses making content for themselves and not their customers. Because again, you just said, if you're taking a brand awareness approach, how do you want your business seen? How do you want your business positioned? Which I think business owners can take that the wrong way and say, well, how do I want my business to look? And then they only make content for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's two parts to that, because we have the perspective of both what is the best marketing tactic for the business to achieve results and what is our client asking us to do. And often that's where a real discrepancy lies. And so often business owners have their whole identity wrapped up in their business. And so it comes out in their marketing. They want to flex to the world about what they're doing and how they're putting runs on the board. They want to make their business look expensive or premium. And quite often it will have them disconnecting from their audience, but they'll be getting the gratification that they're looking for. When we put out content, it's only for the consumer. Of course, we think about brand reputation and image and not like affecting that in a negative way for the business, but we're doing something that the consumer wants to see. And I think Cass has actually done a really good job of that. So she's actually given her recipes out in TikToks saying, this is exactly how we make it. This is what we put in it. This is the finished product. A business owner often will not want to do that. It's like giving away their trade secrets. The obvious feeling is, well, what if the cafe down the road goes and makes this product that I have, customers lining out the door for? They're going to now have the secret sauce. I might actually lose money off the back of this. That's a normal thought to have. And all I can say is it's just generally not the way that things pan out. And we experience this quite heavily in our retail stores. We would give so much information out to educate the customers that were following us. And we would give so many of the secrets away, like how to achieve weight loss, all the considerations we have, how to build a meal plan, how to identify the benefits of one supplement over the other, how you can save money, not get tricked into thinking you're getting more protein because they've actually just changed the label in a way to make you think you're getting more, but you're actually not. We give that all out there, and we've seen trust being installed in the customer base. And that's, I think, something that she's also experiencing. You give away all of the best information for free, and then you sell the implementation. So despite whether someone knows how to make the cake or make the sandwich or make the roast pork roll, they're not going to want to do it most of the time. But the fact that they got to partake in seeing it be made and the care and how much thought goes into it, it actually just makes them want the product more. You might have the smallest fraction of people decide that they're only now going to make their own pork rolls and never buy it off you again. But the chances are that's not going to happen. And you're now doing something different. You're leaning away from all of those normal business feelings that owners would have of not wanting to give away the secrets. And so you then differentiate yourself just by doing that. And I like full credit to her that she can do that, because not most business owners do not want to give away their secrets. But you go look at a page on Instagram or TikTok, the catering page or the actual cafe page, hundreds of thousands of views frequently, tens of thousands of views on every single post. And so it just goes to show, when you want to differentiate yourself, you have to make content pieces for the consumer, not for yourself.
I think something that just popped into my head, which I think would be really good to talk about, is we've been able to achieve really good results with clients that have either been with us for a long time, so they trust us to implement a marketing, tactic or strategy that other people might not be so confident with. So what I mean is, because we have our own businesses, we can pretty much do whatever we want. And that's how we're able to get views and get results. But with other clients, I think one of the hardest things is when I'm onboarding a client, because they see, Cass's results or enhanced results, Parkley Markets, and they say, oh, I want that. So we say, all right, this is the strategy we think your products and services should be advertised in. And they come back and say, oh, I don't think we should say that, and I don't think we should film it like that. That's one of the hardest things, because they want those results, but they don't want to do that because they're scared. I'm sure you can reframe that in the right way, because I'm butchering it. But
no, that's exactly it. And it's frustrating for us. It's like, you want the results, you just don't want to give away what it costs to get those results. And I think one of the other things is the time frame in which you achieve results can be different for each client. You've got different businesses, there's different levels of interests. Like it is absolutely harder to achieve large reaches with our retail stores because the default position that listeners are coming from is this is a retail store on social media, they're about to sell to me. And a lot of the ways that clients or potential customers think about you can definitely dictate how well and how easy it is to get results, and it can really change the time frame in which you get results. And that's another hard thing to explain, that yes, there's a cost to putting this type of media out in a simple content creation cost, but there's a cost to you potentially as a business owner giving away your secrets, not coming across so professional, and you feel like you may have I guess not come across your high paying clients in the right way. For example, if you're a real estate agent and you're talking about how to give properties a facelift just to achieve an extra $30,000-$40,000 at the point of sale, when you've got clients listening that would be like, well, you don't do facelifts, you do things properly. You the values in which you do anything is how you do everything. You can lose like that sort of reputation with people by doing things, I guess, that are going to cost you a little bit. But all we can say is that's up to every business owner to make their choices on what they're comfortable with. But we can just tell you, I guess, the methodical approach and the strategic approach that we put into getting large results across a whole bunch of businesses that are real small businesses, and they don't inherently or innately have something that's extremely interesting about them. Like if we were selling bikinis online, I can guarantee you we could get millions of views very, very easily. The actual product itself is extremely easy to market. And so I think if you find someone that's able to achieve results that are quite similar to that with products or services that aren't just innately as interesting, there's probably something to it.
That's cool. I love when we talk about marketing, so we could go on for so much longer because I love this. But one point I wanted to bring up is, I guess that's why so if you're listening and you've heard our past podcasts, you would think, oh, they're just, husband and wife that do marketing. They're not a marketing agency. What do they know? It comes back to the point that we just brought. The results that we're able to give local and small businesses with just ourselves in a very, I guess, what's the word? Like,
It is limited.
Yeah.
We don't have a huge team. We aren't putting huge production costs in there. It's essentially making a dollar work extremely hard. We're able to achieve like large digital agency like results that would usually attract large social media spends organically.
Yes. And once you do move into an agency format, again, there are agencies that do it very well. I guess that touch that we have kind of gets lost. The very quick to action, quick to implement gets lost because there's so many different levels that you have to go through for approval. And not saying that we don't do anything without our client's approval. It's just that we're very fast to action a marketing strategy that we think will perform very well for a particular client.
We don't have the red tape, but one of the other things is it's extremely hard to hire someone like you for a business. As much as I don't necessarily think you may not carry as many entrepreneurial tendencies as what I do to start your own business, but the chances are you probably would have ended up working for yourself as a freelancer because that model is very much out there and it's not really considered a hard thing to do. But no employee is likely going to pay you what you can make being a freelancer by yourself. And so the reason they're not going to be able to just bring this in-house and hire a T is because you're going to earn more out in the market doing what you do best. And so I think the digital agencies, when they build out a team, they aren't going to be able to employ someone like you because they're not going to be able to pay you the real dollars that what you're easily able to achieve by working for yourself. And so that's one of the issues of hiring a digital agency. You often don't get a T. You get someone that is being paid a certain amount that fits their business model, and they're operating out of the point of, well, we need to make every single venture that we partake in profitable. And so it's almost like the interests aren't quite as well aligned as a freelancer where they're I guess, their own personal brand and their reputation is at stake. The person working on the work has something to lose. And I think that's probably a slight difference in the way that, I guess, customers experience the level of service from one person to the other. And we see this not only from a creativity point of view, but we see this from a paid ad spend point of view. So there's a concept that we use in marketing, or a metric called CPM. It stands for cost per mile, which is cost per 1,000 views. And it's something that you want to know. It's essentially, when you apply a paid ad spend to a particular piece of content, what's it going to cost you on any given platform to achieve 1,000 views, 10,000, 100,000? And so, did you just want to quickly touch on what CPM costs are associated with what platforms?
Yeah, so we did actually dabble into paid TikTok content advertising for our enhanced supplement stores for quite a while. Test it out, see what content would be, I guess, consumed well off the back of ads. But just before I dive into this, we would always wait for a content piece to get traction, so get a decent amount of views before we put spend behind it. And when we're talking about spend, we're only talking about maybe like $200 over like a week or two, maybe 2 weeks. And the results we saw from that were crazy. Like, they were great. And
yeah, so I think you're talking about the I guess the approach we take to applying a paid ad spend to a branding piece, not necessarily like a sales-based piece of marketing.
yeah.
So I know the one that you're referring to. So I think I was actually in the video for this one. I'm not usually in videos anymore, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to utilize a hook that I thought would be really good, and I was the person in front of the camera for the day. And so it was a pump pre-workout. So the idea between a pump pre-workout is it generally doesn't have caffeine. So you're not looking for a stimulation. You're just looking to increase the amount of blood flow to the working muscles to give your muscles a swell, a pump. And so I knew if I compared this product to Viagra, which is kind of like a taboo type subject, it was obviously going to attract quite a bit of attention. And sure enough, it did. And it caused social engagement. And it didn't ruin our brand image, but it had about 80 or 90,000 views. I think it probably would have trickled over to the 100 by itself, but at the point of about 80 or 90,000 views, we decided to experiment and just put $200 behind it, because this was something that was a hot piece of content, and we wanted to see how much applying a smaller amount of spend would increase the reach. And so we'd done plenty of paid ad campaigns before where we would achieve $3, $4, $5 CPMs, which is quite a little bit below the average, which T can kind of inform us on in a second. But we put $200 behind it, and it went from about 80 or 90,000 views all the way up to 200,000 views, and fast. And so when you break that down to a CPM cost, say we just put it on the extra 100,000, it probably was slightly over that. But the $200 works out to be a $2 CPM cost, $2 per 1,000 people. Now, if you go compare this to what you'd pay on the radio or the TV or a flyer drop, you already know that this is insane, sort of like low cost for a marketing strategy. But I guess so people have something to compare it with. Would you give us an insight as to what the average CPM costs are for the average platform, so you can see how crazy a $2 CPM is?
Okay, so I've written these down. So a CPM cost, again, it's per 1,000 views that you get. Generally sits around $8 for Instagram, $6 for TikTok, $6.50 for LinkedIn, and $7 for Facebook.
Right, yeah. I think that's relatively recent data as well. But yeah, that's about what would be normal. And so you also have to think that could be an actual decent price to be paying for 1,000 views, like I think just from the get-go. But the people that are likely to be doing paid ad spend are probably a little bit more focused on how good the creative is, how good the actual content piece is. And so the things that they're amplifying are usually going to be of somewhat of a decent interest to even start off with. So as much as $7 or $8 is not much to, I guess, reach 1,000 people, that's probably already like from a data pool of people that are trying to optimize things. So a $2 CPM is 3-4 times cheaper. Now, where this becomes impressive is when you scale up or amplify the results even further. So generally speaking, to get about 1 million views across the social platforms, you'll pay somewhere between $8,000 and $15,000, probably more like 10 to 12. But if you were to work off the same numbers, a $2 CPM, you could potentially be receiving 1 million views for $2,000. I would probably put it out to about 3,000 because generally speaking, the longer a campaign goes, it does a little bit less. It doesn't do quite as well as it goes on for a decent period of time. I could go into why that happens, but numbers sake. $2,000 to $3,000 for the 1 million views if you could use that content piece in this, I guess, strategic approach as a way of thinking about it, in comparison to the 10 to 12,000 that you might spend on 1 million views otherwise. And so if you're about to do a $20,000 marketing campaign to achieve this 1 million views, and you're able to actually get the paid ad spend down to $2,000 or $3,000 as opposed to 10 to 15, well then, yeah, you should pay the company that is able to do that $5,000 and not see that as expensive, because you're potentially still halving the amount of marketing cost overall that you're sort of operating with. And so CPM costs are a very easy thing to understand. I think it's some marketers will say, oh, it's a metric that doesn't matter anymore. I think it's a very good way to think about overall marketing, especially for branding, because it's easy to also compare it to traditional print, TV, radio, that sort of things as well. But as a whole, I think the analytics that are associated with social media marketing are so much more in depth, and you can extract so much more information from it, and it can give you, I guess, so much more context in how you should do future marketing more effectively as well, compared to something like TV. And to give you a comparison of like how crazy the analytical reports are in comparison is there's a metric known as, I think, the Nielsen's rating in TV. And essentially the way that they work it out is if on average there are 3 people in a given household and 1 TV, and I guess a particular channel is on at 7 p.m., which is where this advertising segment is going to run, they'll say 1 million households had this particular TV station running at this particular point in time, and given the average amount of people in a household, your advertisement has likely reached 3 million people, 3 people to every TV. I think we know that's crazy, right? That's like so far from what the truth likely is. First of all, whenever the TV ads came on, back before streaming was a thing, because no one even watches TV ads anymore, we were still going for a bathroom break or getting snacks during the TV break, or we were picking up our phones straight away. So the chance that your particular piece of content was even engaged with was extremely low. And using something like the Nielsen's rating, it's just so old. And we actually had someone contact us from a radio station asking us if we wanted to run ads on radio. And when I compared them to the CPM costs and how they were actually identifying reach, I'm telling you, these old school ways of doing things are just so far from what we have in terms of the, I guess, analytics that we're able to extract from social media platforms. Things have really changed. And so for those older business owners, not old people, but older business owners and sort of that 35 to 55 year old category, I think if you haven't yet got into social media marketing, it's something that you should really think about doing, because as I said, the quantitative data that we have is amazing, and the qualitative data is just something we've never had before. And so, yeah, I think it's an excellent time for people to get into social media marketing, especially if they're a small business, and especially off the back of that TikTokification of the social media landscape that we're now seeing. There has been no better time to get into marketing for your small business.
I think we could go into a lot more depth in other episodes. I think maybe even in future episodes, we bring up like a certain type of client we have and the marketing approach we do, because I think people listening would be very interested in that, you know, like having Parkley Markets, having a hospitality business, having a retail business, online business. I think that would be very cool to dive into a marketing approach.
Yeah, and we'll bring some business owners on, and they can kind of give us some context of their industry, and maybe we can integrate the two.
Yes. Thank you for the compliment that you were saying that nobody can hire a TE.
For the price.
I just like doing a good job. But anyways, I hope everyone listening found that, I guess, valuable. It was a good insight into how we kind of approach just a few of the videos because we didn't cover a lot. We do a lot more than just posting videos and coming up with video strategies and I guess different marketing tactics. But yeah.
And I think like when I do consulting for businesses as well, these are some of the marketing frameworks that we use because knowing which levers that you can pull in business to move the needle forward, that's something that's really valuable. And most small businesses haven't really experimented with marketing in a real way. And so I guess being able to digest the sort of things that we've been talking about in this episode, I think is going to be really helpful. But that's the sort of frameworks that we're looking at when we're actually marketing small businesses. It's not simply just posting or following a given trend.
Yeah. So if you are a business owner that wants to get into social media marketing and you're just not sure on what approach to take, we do marketing consults. So you can book in and sit down with Steve and kind of map out your business products and services, different marketing strategies that you can approach.
Yeah.
So if you would like those, then definitely get in contact with us.
Or even if you're working with a digital agency and you're happy with them, but you think that things could be optimized further or there's something that's kind of outside of their wheelhouse, they're not really, I guess, used to doing this particular type of marketing, we can offer just strategy sessions as well. So we can give you how we would approach it because often like with the level of clients that we have, we can't take on too many other businesses and it's more likely going to be campaign work, but we can definitely offer strategy sessions to optimize what you're currently doing or if you just want to change things up but don't necessarily need a weekly service. So strategy sessions I think would actually help a lot of people if you can reduce the costs of what it's costing you to advertise and optimize the results that you're getting. There's often a lot of value to be found there.
Yeah, I think we'll end it there, but oh my gosh, people are gonna think I'm so good.
Well,
I just like doing
we
a
can
good
correct
job.
that in the next episode.
All right. Cut.
See ya.